Alrighty. Thank you for letting me know we got video now, so looks a little bit better, hopefully. Alright. Um, Trying to get my stuff set up here. It's a bit wonky. What's going on, just out of curiosity? Alright. Nami Poo Poo, is that close? But thank you much for letting me know. The video looks pretty decent there, so we'll see. We'll see how this continues or not, so. Alright. Oh, it's smaller? Well, let me scale to the window. See, nope. How's that? I'm thinking that might have helped a little bit. All right, so try to get focus in here somewhere, but come on, autofocus. There we go. That's looking better. All right, okay. I think we're getting there. Sorry, guys. I did end up getting a fake battery for the camera so that I can plug it in directly to the wall and not run it through the USB cable the entire time, and that tends to cause overheating, so hopefully that works. All right, so really I haven't done anything since the last video. If anybody's new or watching here in the future, just continuing working on my Sergal headbase. I'm just doing a 4.0 remake of the headbase because I lost two of them in a basically incident where I left the tailgate open on my truck, and when I looked and noticed it the next day, they were gone. So haven't been able to find them yet. That's been about a month and a half ago. And so I'm just remaking it. I did make a, yeah, I was kind of trying to do that. Hopefully that's kind of getting down in here now, um, but yeah, so trying to remake a new one. I did make a new one about 3 weeks ago, in preparation for a Renaissance fair we had locally. And there were a few things that I wanted to fix on that because I kind of rushed it. So here I am trying to figure out what I want to do next. So uh, I'm doing stuff a little bit about out of order of what I normally would do. I put the ears on before I put the head bucket on, but I didn't have the foam at the time, so I had to kind of wait and get things going. So I'm just like, well, I'm gonna press ahead and we'll fix it later. So that's kind of where I'm at. Uh, what I want to do at this point is essentially I've got some, I don't know, this was like 3 or 4 inch foam block. Try to get, it's hard to get video when I want it. All right, so I want to pack out the sides of the head base here a little bit. But what I do want to make sure to do is these are the hinges, which I should just swap to like manual mode and see if that helps if I focus where I want it. Yeah, that's close. It might work. Uh, but I've got the hinges for the jaw, which would connect here. So I want to make sure I keep the foam out of that area, but pack that out just a little bit so I can stick my face in there. And as the elastic pulls on the face, it doesn't bend the whole head base in. So I'm just going to do a little bit of trimming to this guy or marking it up, uh, as I'm going to glue these into the face. But like I said, I'm doing stuff a little bit out of order of what I did previously, which means I just kind of have to guess on the shape. Normally I would set the head base onto the foam and trace it out. So I'm just gonna give a little bit of a curvature, and it really doesn't take a whole lot. So really what I should have done was just keep that there, which I'll just change the curvature. All right, because I really don't need that much foam. That was just kind of a pre-set up cut there. Good evening, Alan. Good to see you again. Thanks for tuning in again. And if you did send me a chat, I didn't see anything, but I would love to kind of let you know where the local fursuit meetup meets are. If you are interested in going at all, like I said, no need for wearing a suit. A lot of people don't, but if you want to go, hit me up one of these days on Instagram or Twitter or something like that, and I'll kind of give you some of the details. But overall, just kind of continuing on with the project that I had. So I set the focus to manual mode, so I'm sure where I'm working at now is out of focus. Let's see. Uh, that looks closer. And yeah, so if anybody's got any questions or stories or anything they want to talk about, please let me know because I'm not very good at coming up with just random stuff to talk about as I do this stuff. I'm really not much of a live streamer, but here I am. I'm doing it just because I've been kind of lazy making videos out of what I've been doing. So I made my Blood Moon 4.0 video, or put all the videos on, recorded everything, but never actually put a video out. I've got Amon that I made for uh, one of the YouTube watchers, and she asked me, "Hey, will you make one?" And I said, "Nope, nope, nope. I'm not looking for commissions." And then we started talking a little bit more, and I'm like, "Yeah, that looks kind of fun. I can try it." So I made hers, but I still haven't put out a video of how that turned out. I may end up waiting till after Furry Week in Atlanta, as we're gonna hopefully run into each other there, and that way we can kind of meet and everything. Because hey, that's kind of cool meeting the people that you're kind of working with and for. So, so maybe after that we might get some video of her and how it turned out and everything, and then go from there. But I don't know. We will see. Because I've got about 3 weeks to the day that I leave and get to Atlanta for FWA. Let's see. Am I going to Anthrocon? No, I'm not. I did consider going, but in the end, we decided that it just wasn't going to be worth it trying to go this year. One of the big things was going to be, let's see, yeah. So one of the big things was I could order the tickets, but I didn't know if the rooms were actually available from the room blocks or whatnot, because you can't really reserve a room block until you get a ticket. But if you get a ticket and there's really no room blocks, I really don't want to stay not at the main con itself because it's so much nicer being where the con is. So, given that, I decided it's just not worth it this year. It was going to be kind of a bit of a rush for me to get to be able to go there in time. But all in all, I think it would be fun. It was going to be rushing, uh, getting everything to happen, plus a lot of money. Let's see. Definitely hit me up on Instagram or something like that if you see. I should have some of the data on where Instagram is. Let's try this again. Focus. Okay. Uh, but yeah, if you hit me up, I'd love to meet you and see you guys over at the FWA Con if you guys are going. All right. I think that piece kind of works there. So I'm going to see if I can essentially duplicate what I just carved out. And I think all of us kind of know that I just kind of go with what feels right. And if it starts fitting and going all right, then that's what I go with. So I don't have a super precise measurement of how I do everything. I just kind of do it and hope that it works. And if it doesn't, I remake it. And that's why I'm on version I say 4.0, but we're really on like 5. I think we stop kidding myself. But the reason why I call it 4.0 and not 5.0 is because I did make a version that didn't have eyes, and that was for me off-roading through the desert, where it gave me a lot more vision, but it's kind of cursed looking. Yeah. But so I call that one 1.5. I looked up Hotel Princess in Pittsburgh for Anthrocon, and it was outrageously expensive. Yeah, so that was kind of the exact same thing I was looking at, as like for Anthrocon, I could go there and I could get a room for something that's nearby, but I am not spending, let's say if I get there on a Wednesday, the one before or the day before, so I'm not spending close to $4,000 on hotel rooms for like 4 or 5 days. I just don't see the point of that. I like doing things, but I don't like wasting money. So that was going to be a waste of money, in my opinion. So I'm like, nope, not going to go to Anthrocon this year, not without like a guaranteed setup where I've got a room that I know where I'm going to go and everything. So that's where I'm at. Um, let's see. Sorry, I'm rambling. I'm trying to get more or less mirror images, and I really don't like when the camera is kind of focusing in on stuff closer to you, but not on what I'm doing over here. So come on. All right, we'll see if that helps. But yeah, I did see that. I think there's a couple cons I was looking at recently that you had to buy the tickets before you can partake in the reserved blocks. And I can kind of understand where they're coming from on that, but do I like it? No, because I really don't want to just toss out money and then find out, hey, there's no good hotel rooms basically within the con block, and now you're going to be spending 4 times as much or be 2 or 3 miles away and then have to rent a car and try to find parking and blah blah blah. It gets pretty painful. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, just nope, I'm gonna hang out. I'll just stay in Phoenix and we'll see what we can do from there. So all right, so I think I've got some mirror-ish images. Uh, so we've got, they're not exact, but I'm gonna line the whole thing, and once I start packing out all the foam in the back here for the head, with the 1/2 inch foam that I have here, it all kind of comes together. I've never really had a big issue with how the foam fits because I keep trying pushing it on and seeing what works on my head. So that's where I'm at. Um, yeah, I agree. If I'm going to a con, I want to make sure that I have a room before I start buying a ticket. So, but here we are. I'm just gonna call it good. So, but truthfully, I don't know if I want to go to super mega cons. I'm almost getting a little apprehensive about going to FWA as it is. It's gonna be a big con. Uh, but I know there's a whole lot more space in Atlanta as far as the number of hotels participating and everything like that. So I think it'll be good. I'm not too sure what to think about the entire con. Uh, I think it'll be fine. It's just, sorry, I'm trying to focus on the focus. Uh, there we go. I'll set focus again. I keep jumping back and forth trying to figure out what works the best, but okay. But anyways, as far as the glue goes, I think I've mentioned on the last few of them, I use like a Sure Bonder fabric glue, hot sticks or hot glue sticks. They're like a black one, and it tends to work really well on the TPU base versus just a normal clear plastic. So that's what I'm going to use here. But I also find that it sucks really bad to use on foam when you're connecting foam to foam. So So you'll see me kind of go back and forth as depending on what I'm gluing to what. I've been letting the hot glue gun start here and sit here heating up for about, it's probably been 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes as I waited for the computer to actually start working correctly so I can live stream. So that the tube that it stores all the glue in is nice and hot and it melts really well. So let's see what we got. All right. So first bit of foam kind of stuffed into the face here. Then I'll flap that around. Yeah, I say I'm kind of nervous about FWA, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think my biggest thing that makes me nervous is just I've never had to fly to a con. And so flying to a con, not having a car, I've got a lot of moving parts because I'm going to meet up with one of the furries that I took to a con here in January here in Phoenix. And so there's a lot of moving pieces. I don't have a car rented or reserved or anything, but I don't really need one till after the con. And so yeah, I'm kind of working that piece. We used to live down near Atlanta, about 90 minutes away, so the city's pretty comfortable to me. I don't expect a whole lot of craziness there, and I'm looking forward. I think they've got a night that we're going to be able to go to the Atlanta Aquarium, which is a really cool aquarium, but we're going to be able to do that in fursuit, so that'll be pretty cool. Uh, Unfortunately, I think I'll be doing that without Jinx, the friend that I'm going to take to FWA, but it is what it is. We'll be able to have fun there because that sounds like a really cool addition that we can do. But it sounds like AZ FurCon is a really unfortunate situation. They need a bigger venue, but they're too expensive, so I hope they can find a place. I won't disagree there. uh, yeah, it sounds like them and the Doubletree, I think it was over near Mesa, they were in agreement for a bit, but I guess they didn't quite meet the needs or something fell apart there. So it is what it is for now. I hope that they have something figured out by what is it? I think October timeframe. And if not, then we may go without AZFC this year, but I'm sure that they'll have something figured out by 2026 if they don't get it this year. Uh, I almost feel like PDFC needs a bigger venue as well. I just, it's kind of a tough balance of being able to grow but not grow too quick and not really have everything kind of work the way we need. So yeah, we'll see how that goes here in the near future. But all right. All right. Well, if you end up leaving lazy, sorry, buggy. It was good talking to you and seeing you here again. The city's looking great up in Atlanta. No, Atlanta, I really like Atlanta. Atlanta is a pretty cool place. I hate the traffic, but Atlanta itself is really pretty good. All right, so I'm just doing kind of a test fit here of how the foam is, and that seems to be working all right. And then, sorry, once again, the foam's kind of in the way for it a little bit, but I'm gonna lay this kind of within the head base and kind of get a general shape for about what I need. So I feel kind of stupid if you could see what I'm doing to my head right now. I wrap the foam around my head. Now I'm pinching it, making a cone head. And I would show you, but I'm sure focus will be thrown way off again. So, all right. So, uh, how do I want to do this? Okay, so if you've ever seen The Handmaid's Tale, yep, my wife and I are watching that. It looks like this little thingy. Uh, they wear little bonnet type things, but here we go. I'm gonna kind of fold this and make it more or less a triangle and trim some parts out. But before I get there, I'm gonna chop a little triangle out on the top. Maybe another little chunk here. And see what we can do here. So you're going to have a great time at FWA, my friends. A Sergal, so you might get to see each other at. I'm hoping they've got a Sergal meet. Uh, yeah, I definitely think. Oh, I've totally missed a few things here, but yeah, the Sergals. I never hardly ever see them at cons. The biggest con I've been to was what was it, AFC in Ontario, California this last year. That had about 3,500 people or attendees. So it was decent sized. I really enjoyed it, and I thought the con space was really well suited for the amount of people that they had, and there was definitely room to grow. So that was really cool. I really, really enjoyed that one. But despite the size, there were still probably only maybe 4 or 5 circles that I saw. There might have been more that I just didn't see or recognize, but I was looking out for them because, well, that's what I do. Uh, but yeah, hopefully they've got a circle meet. I'm still waiting on the programming to start getting shown, but I haven't seen anything as of yet. So, and like I said, I hate this black glue on the foam. It tends to just like disappear and get sucked into the foam, and then there's nothing left. So I have to do like layer upon layer of the black on it, and at some point it seals, but it's not doing it there. Let's see. Okay, so 20 circles, that's pretty good. That's enough to make a cheese wheel. And yeah, I kind of expected if you don't have enough circles at a FWA or Anthrocon, then yeah, it might be a dying species or just not grown into it yet. But let's see. Yeah, PDFC, bigger venue. They also said that they've been operating in the red the past year. Remember, they said that at the con. Yeah, I didn't get to go to the opening or closing ceremonies, so yep. I don't even know how many people attended this year. So if you attended and you know what the attendance numbers are, I'd love to know that because they tend to, right after that con, they just kind of shut up and never said anything again. I sent a few messages to them direct and they haven't responded. So I don't know. I'm not exactly pleased with how PDFC was run this year. I don't know if it's just they were worn out and they didn't want to follow through on, post-con information, but they seem to just shut everything down and call it quits and hope for the best. So I don't really know. Um, let's see, you'll see a lot out and about. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Uh, I just gotta see what we end up getting. Okay, like I said, the black stuff doesn't work, so I just swapped out to the clear glue. Unfortunately, let's see. I'm gonna have to squeeze out a lot of this black that's still in the chamber, and then I'll probably accidentally put my elbow into it and get covered in hot glue. But all right, try this a little bit more. All right, I see it transitioning, so we will put this over there. All right, we'll try clear again, or clear this time. I'm gonna pinch it with my fingers and probably scream. All right. You're an Oriental long hair and a crow. Huh, that sounds really cool. I'd have to see that. Yeah, if you're over at FWA, let me know, or I'll keep an eye out for something that's close to that description, because that really sounds cool. I've wanted to do a bird on my last, or really when I started the thing, and I had a, what was it, ornate hawk eagle that I was gonna do. I really like them. There was a, I don't know if it's a park or resort type thing there in Georgia, but we went to that and I saw one of those flying years ago, and it was one of the prettiest birds I'd seen. And I'm like, huh, I'd like to make a fursuit out of or into a hawk eagle. Uh, yep. I had everything pretty close to about getting ready to make into a fursuit, but then the head base fell and it shattered into many pieces. And after that, I just kind of let it stop basically. That was one of the reasons I started transitioning to the TPU as well, because I saw how fragile the TPU was, or sorry, the PETG. Despite being a stronger plastic for printing, it still wasn't quite good enough to handle, a 5 foot fall onto concrete, which I don't expect it to be. But TPU, I wouldn't mind running over this one with the Jeep and it just popped back into place. So PDFC had 1,560 attendees. 15 or 25? Because I think last year there were 22, 2,300. So if there were 15, that's pretty small. But I thought it looked like a pretty good con this year. Is just kind of pretty small. Your crow is a Dream Vision. Creation, skull, head base. Pretty solid. That's cool. Well, all right. But man, I have glue all over all my fingers. Well, all the ones that matter. Peel this off because I am blistering. Good thing the weekend's coming up because then I don't have to worry about my fingers at work. But let's see. All right, this is really going slow. I hate gluing foam. The ears aren't too bad. I think there's just enough surface area for it to work pretty well. And I really don't know if this is going to meet my needs of what I'm looking for, but I will at least glue together a scene, and it should get me at least a basic start to a base here. But you kind of give me a owl bear vibe in the beat department. An owl bear. I have no idea what that is, so let me see if I can look that up. All right. Huh. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. That's, I don't know if I'm able to copy image. Am I able to? I think I can share what the owl bear looks like, because I've never tried this before, so I'm gonna try it. Let's see. Save image as. Sorry guys, you get to listen to me talk my way through this. Downloads. Crap, I don't even know where I saved it to. Gotta go back to the internet, look again. Oh, it went to my desktop. Okay, that'd make more sense. Do 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 do. Sorry, you guys have to listen to me think, and that's probably pretty painful. Okay, sweet. So, oh, 1560 is on PDFC's YouTube channel. I didn't even know they had a YouTube channel. So, I will have to look that up and subscribe to it because I've never actually noticed that. Thank you. But let's see, can you guys see the creature? I think you can. That's probably pretty cool. So, I'm I'm pretty impressed with that. I like that. Sorry, I'm dragging it all over the place now. But so it was probably about 2 or 3 years ago. I was driving the four-wheel side by side out through the middle of the desert, and along the way, I'm like, "What is that?" So we just kind of cut over to a barbed wire fence, and there was a great horned owl that got stuck in the barbed wire, and his wing was trapped in the barbed wire itself. So, uh, yeah, this guy really reminds me of a great horned owl mixed with a bear. But no, great horned owls have always kind of been one of the owls and birds that I really liked as well. And this guy, that'd be pretty cool. I like. So thank you for mentioning that. Oh, anyways, I get distracted very easy, so sorry about that, guys. Uh, talking about the owl that was stuck in the fence, we ended up calling, there's a local rescue here. I forget the name of it. It's like, yep, I can't even remember. But they sent somebody out there to help us out, and I had some wire cutter, so I was able to chop this small chunk of fence out, which I felt bad about doing. But there was no way to get the owl out, and they came out, saw what was going on, and they're like, "Yeah, we definitely need to take the owl into surgery with the barbed wire still in him because if they pulled it out, they're pretty sure they're gonna blade out or something. It wasn't looking too good. So at that point, chopped it out and drove the rescue people back to their car, and then they took it back to wildlife rescue type thing. I forget what it was, and we had named it Fred. And then the next day, we're like, oh, let's just go out and check out the rescue. I guess they've got a uh, area that you can kind of look at the different birds, and it's like an open house type stuff. So, and when we got there, we saw that they had a viewing area for the animals or whatnot that they were working on doing surgeries on. And so, as we were looking, our owl came out and was going into surgery. There was a big viewing area where you can watch it. So, we started talking with some of the rescue people, and they told us, yep, that's the owl that you brought in yesterday. So, thank you, basically. So that was really cool. I was really happy to get to see the owl getting repaired. They still had the barbed wire in it, and they were cutting it out of him at that point, and then doing some stitching up. And they're like, "Yeah, we'll probably keep him for a few weeks, and then be able to release back into the wild." So overall, I thought that was really cool. But all right, um, alrighty. So I will turn that guy off, and I guess if I can add images. Maybe I should add what blood moon looks like for anybody that doesn't know. So let me add this back in. And I'm sure everybody that, no. Let's see. I won't share that one. That's a, okay, so I asked AI to make my blood moon a long time ago just because I was curious what it would come up with, and I described it to them. And this is the monstrosity that they provided me, which I actually kind of love because he's just so horrible. But there we are. So that's my verbal description to AI of what I wanted. But let me get back to, whoops, my real blood moon. Cancel. What am I doing? image. Image 4. Sure, save. I know you guys probably hate watching me because this is just slow. I make no sense and I just randomly go. But unload image when not showing. I don't know. Sure. So there's my blood moon. We can put him in the bottom right corner. The more I discover about this program, you're gonna probably wish I didn't. But all right. Now at this point, I'm gonna do some manipulation, try to figure out where my head fits the best. So, all right. Sorry. It's really kind of hard to figure out what's going on when camera's over here. I gotta go back to autofocus, I think. All right. So I'm working on kind of getting the back of the head set to the right spot. That feels about right to me. And bring this back down. I feel like I've got it still not in the right spot. I think I just have too much material in here still, so I will kind of probably cut out just a little tad bit here. Let me try this. I gotta see what we got going there. Guardians of... I can't even say that. Guardians of Gahul was a series of books I read as a kid, which made me absolutely fall in love with the owls. Yeah, owls, owls are really cool. Um, yeah, this program, it's a free one that I discovered when I was trying to figure out how I can stream my good camera, which I say good camera, but then I'm sitting here trying to figure out focus, but that's more on me and not the camera. The camera is actually a very good camera. I just am not doing very well with it. Um, but I think I want to cut out just a little tad bit down in the base here. So I'm gonna just trim out a little bit of a circle. That way the top of my head kind of sits in the right spot. I put a piece of EVA foam in the very top here, so that'll be kind of the head cushion. And then this will kind of wrap around the sides and then cup the back of my head here. At least that's the way I envision it going because that's what I've done the last few times. Will it do that once again? I don't know. I never know how these things are going to turn out. Um, but we will see what happens. All right. I think something like that will work. If it doesn't, then I'll fix it on the fly, like I always do. Let me do one more test bit. Oh yeah, that feels pretty good. So I'm gonna just kind of mark a layout that I want the circle to fall within on the head base. That way I've got something to glue to or mark of where I'm gonna go. I've got so many things piling up here. My typical workspace is pretty full. All right, so I'm ready for more glue as I go because I was almost out on that one. Got a few pulls in. I'm thinking way too hard trying to hot glue. It's kind of sad that that requires so much concentration from me. But that's where I'm at. Mental processing. Mm. All right, so I just kind of piled some glue. I'm definitely gonna peel back a little bit and throw some more glue in there, but there we are. Um, let's see. If I wore glasses, would it be harder to get a good fit? I used to wear glasses, but no. I feel like within the TPU head bases, I feel like I could adjust it and make where there's actually a lot more room within the head base to be able to wear glasses, because I could really kind of massage how I have the foam kind of hitting, and I can carve out big chunks of space in there. Uh, and if I knew where the arms of the glasses and stuff kind of resided, then overall I think it works pretty well to be able to use glasses within a like printed head base versus a foam one. But I think I've heard of people doing them in the foam ones, but I think you tend to fog up a whole lot more, just because of the trapped air and you're breathing into it. And like, I have really good ventilation, especially with the mouth being articulating. When I get really hot, you may just see me with the mouth wide open, uh, and that works pretty well for me to breathe. But yeah, so yep, like you said, I'm probably butchering it, but Nammy Poo Poo. uh, yeah, you can account for them pretty well. So I threw my sunglasses in on the last head base that I put together just to see if you could wear glasses with them, and I felt that it was a possibility. I didn't really go too far with it, but I'm like, ah, that'll work. Oh, just ran my fingers through hot glue. Whew, joys. All right. Again, I feel for you guys that sit here and listen to me because I really don't have a great voice and really don't talk about much of anything, but I do appreciate you hanging out with me and consistently showing up. So, thank you guys. Yep, not a problem. Hopefully if you end up getting a suit, or it sounded like you were not wearing a suit or didn't have a suit, you went to the last PDFC without, I think you were saying, but no, I'm sure you can definitely get something that would work for you. So, all right. So, yeah, I think I've talked about this on previous recording or whatnot, but one of the most oh, that actually is working all right. Uh, one of the most fun that I've had at a FurCon was going to AFC, another FurCon in California, and I did that one by myself. I wasn't real sure how that was going to go, but really, I had a great time going and just hanging out. I really didn't know what to expect because I had always gone with my daughter and her friend and her boyfriend and stuff like that. So when I actually went by myself, it was like, what am I doing? Do I belong here? This isn't necessarily my clan because almost everybody's in their late teens, early 20s. I'm about double that. So that kind of created little apprehension for me. But in the end, it didn't really matter. It doesn't matter what age you are. Everybody's just happy doing their thing, and we all just kind of had a great time. Uh, so I'm really glad I actually have gone to a FurCon just by myself and kind of got to experience it from that side of things, which I truly, really did have a great time by myself. Not saying I don't have a good time with the kids, but it kind of proved to me that I actually do enjoy the fur cons for what they are and not really just the hanging out with the kids and everything like that. So that was pretty fun. Let's see. I'm working from home, so I just play your streams in the background. I really appreciate that. Like, I would probably listen to somebody super exciting, but no. I think some of the streamers I tend to listen to, I tend to watch, I always screw this up, but Ada, Beta, Iota, or something like that. He's got good streaming voice and he just has a good show overall. But he's got a topic that he's doing. He's not sitting here trying to build a fursuit at the same time as talking. So I'll say for me, doing more than one thing at a time is kind of difficult. But hopefully I don't screw this up. If I do, I'll know, hey, don't live stream while you're building something because you can't focus. But no, I tend to watch him. I know there's some potentially weird things with him that I might have just discovered, but I really don't know if it's true or not. But overall, I kind of enjoy watching his stuff. Early on, I was watching a lot of Sky High Studios. She has a lot of good tutorials on fursuits, which did not relate to anything that I do, but at the same time, she gave me just good, I don't know, mental pictures of what I should be doing on certain things. Uh, so I liked watching hers, and hey, who doesn't love watching uh ah, Aussies and their, you know, accents and everything. So she was fun to watch, but I haven't watched a lot of hers lately. I don't think she's really put out a whole lot of content recently. So, or I saw a few things recently, but she hasn't put out a whole lot on YouTube at least. And if she has, it hasn't been popping up on my feed. And then Z, the raccoon, and Finn the panther. They're kind of my four go-tos that I do. Let's see. I'm not very creative, sadly. I'd look for commissioning one. No, I enjoy building. I just really don't do a great job on just doing it the best way the first time. I don't know why. It's a waste of time when I do it over and over, but hey, it's fun. Um, if you just bring it up to your maker that it should be able to accommodate the glasses. Yep. Yeah. And I think if you I know there's several good fursuit makers here in the Phoenix area. Uh, and if you need recommendations, I've got a few of them that I can think of, but I don't know if they're open for comms and stuff, but they tend to advertise that stuff on Instagram and stuff like that. So if you're looking for one in the near future or in the future, they may be decent ones to go to. Uh, but if you're local, it may be easier to kind of make sure that sizing and stuff like that fits or whatnot. But I really don't know the details of how integrated they get with commissions or anything. But if I were commissioning and I lived in the same city as my maker, then I'd probably say, hey, let's make sure the sizing works well. Um, but that's just my thought. But all right, so what I did there was just added a second layer, kind of a foam around the back, just trying to get a little bit more back there, because it gives a little bit more structure and it holds kind of the shape better overall. And now I need to fill in with more glue. Like I said, I'm doing this out of order of what I normally do. Normally I don't have ears in my way, so I'm kind of regretting having the ears there, but ooh, hot, hot, hot glue on my fingers. But that's okay. I adjust to whatever I'm thrown, so we're gonna go with this. No, big glasses, they should be fine, but really, I think it just depends on the experience and everything of the maker. Don't ask me because, well, you can tell you don't want to commission me. I may not get it quite right. Because I can't even keep from gluing my fingers, so whoop, that doesn't help. Let's see. Yep, you can see. I am covered in glue. and that's after peeling glue off. I even have like a whole string glued. There we go. But whatever. It is what it is. All right, let me do a quick test again and see how that feels. All right. So, overall, it's kind of fitting in the right position, right spot, and I've got good vision. So, what I'm always looking for is the the head base just to kind of sit on my upper lip, because I think on the 2.0 version that I made of Blood Moon, I was able to set the jaw right in the mouthpiece here. And anytime I move my jaw, it worked really well. So I'm trying to get that kind of fit once again. But you can see I've got some trimming work. Whoops, that's my face. You don't want to see my face. All right. So I've got a little bit of foam sticking through the eye hole. That's not a big deal. I can trim that out, which I'm going to do right now. And then when I start putting the eyeballs in, which I should do, I just ended up getting some more epoxy sculpt, which is what I use to kind of sculpt the eyeballs onto the head base. It's essentially a clay-based epoxy, and so you mix the parts in equal parts, A and B, and roll them together, and it turns into like a black hard epoxy plastic. I have no idea where Blood Moon is, so I'll get Hypnotic here and give you kind of a preview of what that looks like. All right. So this is Hypnotic. This is one of my other Sergals that I made. Wow, he's out of focus because it wants to choose his nose. All right, so there's the eyes. I sculpt out eyelids with the epoxy sculpt and then fill in a lot of excess material kind of along the sides and then sculpt it up the eye in here. And then I cast the eyes out of some epoxy and give him a little bit squintier setup there. But all in all, this is what the eyes kind of start out looking like, and then in the end they get a little squintier, a little bit angrier. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So, but so this is Hypnotic. I'm sure some of you guys have seen him, others haven't, but he's a pretty good one. I enjoyed making him. He doesn't kind of meet my, I don't know, persona expectation. So Blood Moon's kind of always been that option for me. So he works pretty good. But yeah, I do I've got plans. So I do like the angry factor that we have with Hypnotic. So I've got this base that I've had printed out for, I don't know, probably 6 months now. But it's got a little bit angrier persona. He's got curled lips, and then the jaw just sits a little bit different. And then the eyes are a lot more pointy and kind of just, he's got an angriness to him. So that's the same base I built Hypnotic off of, except this one's going to be TPU. But I'd like to make a Blood Moon with an angrier persona as well. So this is going to be that someday when I actually get Blood Moon original kind of back into the same kind of mode that I kind of wanted. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at right now. But I do think that a angrier Blood Moon would be kind of cool to kind of get set up to. Um, I almost feel like I want a little piece, but I think that might push a little piece of foam in the back. But I don't think that'll work very well for me. So let me give it a shot. That does make it a little bit tighter. Not necessarily opposed to that, so I'll go ahead and do it. And I expect that kind of some of the, I don't know, the foam and everything will kind of break down or compress over time. Or if I'm wearing it all day, it'll keep that tension on my head and allow me just to have a nice solid feel, but not too loose or anything, which I need to kind of work on getting the fits just right. So, so just gluing that little tiny piece, just give a little pressure in the back there. And when I build these kind of bucket head kind of deals onto the back of the base, it does really kind of cradle my head and it just sits really nicely. And then when I have the elastic across the back, I really don't need much tension on it. So I'll probably have it really light tension where it's just holding kind of that under the skull cradle there. And then I'll run a little piece up to the other harness kind of right in here. So I'll have like a T harness right down the middle and go see how that works. Um, then I think I mentioned the other day, I tend to get blurry there. Okay. Uh, I wanted to come through and I'll chop off just a little bit of the ear. That way it sits the way I want, but I wasn't real sure where I needed to chop until I got this head base kind of set here. So now that I'm kind of seeing how it's going to lay, I may kind of start trimming that out. I may round this foam in the back out a little bit more as well. And I really should get a better position on the camera one of these days. I'll try it from back over my shoulder. That way you guys are seeing it from my view at some point. Maybe I should do that now. Ah, just trimming some of this off. All right. So I'm looking for symmetrical ears, kind of right down the middle, and where they lay kind of in the same spot and have the same curvature to them. So I think this one I need to trim a little bit more. All right, so a little bit trim there, and I'll take a little bit on this side as well. Hopefully without cutting my power cord to my fan, but if I do, I guess I'll put a new one in, or put a USB-C rather than just a normal USB on there. Let's see, looks I lost camera. Okay, we'll see if camera comes back on here. There we go. Yeah, I think I got it back up, so hopefully that works. You almost locked out, you didn't have to keep watching, but here we are. I'm back. Sorry, guys. All right. Hmm. All right, so try and figure out the ear positioning. So I've got my old templates, and this is where it gets scary, because I get to find out how well do these templates fit this ear. So there's one, and that looks like that'll fit decently well. It's always a scary piece because I have not run these on here yet to see if they work. So, all right, so that's the outer side. the inner. Well, it should be about right. It's not perfect, but I can definitely make that work. Usually I take a little bit of a tape to adjust these as I go, and I think that'll work. That'll be fine. And then right inner ear. All right. That doesn't match up quite the same, so that's one of the joys is always modifying what I have going here. So you can see that that won't quite match up the same, and there's some wrinkles to it. So I say you can, but you can't quite see, but you can see. So right in here, I've got about I don't know, a half inch on one side to an inch on the other that I need to adjust and trim out. So I might need to do some adjustment there and just trim the ears just a tad bit, and then I'll reshape them a little bit. Um, and usually that side's the same, so yeah, I'll have to work on that a little bit, just to get everything working the way it should. But otherwise, I think most of the stuff is looking pretty close here. Um, on the outside, let's see, black, black, okay. Yeah, so I'm just a slight difference on that, so I'll probably do that later, which is gonna be just trimming up the ears and getting it to fit better, but that's something we don't need to worry about right now. And but in general, I kind of got the main goal, which tonight was putting on the back of the head here. It feels like it fits pretty well on what I'm looking for. And now I just need to do a little bit of ear trimming, but like I said, I'll probably just do that off camera. I wasn't planning to do anything off camera, but this looks like it's just trimming a tad bit. I hate dealing with the foam little pieces. It gets everywhere. But if I'm focusing on the camera and not on this, then I tend to kind of screw it up. So I'll probably try to make sure everything fits well before I move on, because I don't want to have another jacked up blood moon. So that's about where I'm at, and I'll get everything reset here, but I think that's about it for tonight. So once again, for everybody that's tuned in, Alan, thank you for hanging out with me once again. And Nami Poo Poo, I'm totally sure I'm screwing that up, but nope, thank you guys for hanging out. You guys were definitely great. And then, yeah, it was awesome having kind of company hanging out with me tonight. So thank you again. I will see you guys next time, which might be tomorrow and probably sometime throughout the weekend. That way I can start getting this guy finished up. So